It was good. You're really amazed if it was hot outside today. It only in the 70s, and I'm like,
That's why I'm like
cold in August when it's in the 70s. Gotta get
That's
acclimated.
what we're used to.
Yeah.
We're gonna be over 80 for me.
All right, welcome to the Hyde Park Planning Commission meeting. Today is Wednesday, March 18th, 2026. It's 7 o'clock or a little after. And everyone's here. We have Heather Taylor, Mike Mose, Melinda Lee, Ned Hansen, and Charlene Williams. And Heather Taylor has offered to give our opening tonight.
Our dear, kind, and gracious Heavenly Father, we're grateful for this opportunity we have to gather together as planning and zoning and to discuss the needs and matters at hand. Please help us to think of the citizens of this beautiful city and to be able to agree and to discuss the things needed. And we're grateful for those who take time to help the city grow and develop. And we say these things in Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Heather. Okay, first item is to approve the minutes from March 4th, last meeting, 2 weeks ago.
I make a motion that we approve them as they are.
I have a motion.
Second.
I have a second. Commissioner Mose made the motion. Commissioner Hansen seconded it. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Great. Okay, next is our planning staff report. Mikel Layton.
Hello. I do have a couple of things to report on. Firstly, the McMullen retaining wall that was previously brought up at a meeting, or any land use decision for that matter, cannot be appealed to the Planning Commission or to City Council. Neither entity can excuse property owners from following code. The district court or the hearing officer are the designated appeal authorities. We will be adding definitions to the land use code to help clarify what qualifies as a structure. And then moving forward, any items that commissioners would like to propose for discussion should be submitted to the chair and to the city planner, and then we'll add them to the agenda as a discussion item and hopefully attach any kind of documentation or helpful material to them so that we can have an informed and robust discussion and be prepared for that. And then secondly, staff is working on a land disturbance permit that would focus on grading and building site prep work. The requirement for a subdivision to provide graded and reinforced lots, like we talked about at our last meeting, is being written and will come back as a public hearing item. We're also doing some research and making sure the legalities of that are what they should be. And then thirdly, I had a good conversation with members of, I'm calling them the Cache County Planners Association, but it's really, it's just the planners breakfast and we have lots of different folks there, but we might move to associate ourselves at some point. But we have a monthly meeting and it was my turn to present something. So we did a workshop on what kind of zoning criteria do you use in your town and what, you know, how is that important and why do we need to change and what should we include? So we had a really good conversation. And I actually have people emailing me with follow-ups on that. So we'll start working on those soon and bring them back to you for your approval.
Great. Thank you. All of those items. Okay, we just have one action item, which is the sign for Chaos Salon.
So interestingly enough, I hope you guys were all able to open the sign code. How many pages is that? I don't-
16.
16.
I fell asleep a couple times.
And the reason I wanted to include it is because when I do get a permit like this, which is, I don't know if you guys are all familiar with the location. I'm sure you've seen it as you drive down the highway. I'm not sure it takes 16 pages for folks to decide if a sign is appropriate in this location. I think we've got way too many sign regulations in place. And as staff, having to go through 16 pages and make sure an addition to a already standing structure doesn't violate code in any way. Just a lot of code for a small project, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. So I'm hoping that when we're done with this application this evening, you might see fit to encourage me to whittle down our sign code just a little bit. We do have a lot of MX development coming, as you know, and we're gonna have signs in residential areas. I don't know how many of you remember that Seinfeld episode where Kramer lived across the street from I think it was a chicken establishment, and the sign shone in his window and gave him a sunburn. It was all very dramatic, but I think that may be the kind of situations we end up with if we don't make sure that our signs are residential area friendly when we have these mixed uses. So that may be something to consider as well. And I intend to bring this back as a discussion item. So we're kind of discussing as we go, if you will, or just kind of noticing things as we go through this application tonight that maybe we could do some small changes to our sign code so that it's easier for applicants, more efficient for staff, and that the applicants, the folks that actually applied for the sign permit are a signed company. And they had to call me a couple of times to get through this code to do what they wanted to do. So for professionals to use this code, it shouldn't be that technically difficult for them. But my favorite part of this code, and what I'm going to show you, if Marcus has it on the screen, what they're proposing is to add the light up chaos sign to the top of an already existing structure that has two signs on it already, and I do not believe those light up. Our code is a little ambiguous about lighted signs. It does have a lot of wording about the kind of lights and flashing and this and that, but as far as how bright they can be and things like that, there's not a lot of measurable stuff in there. So that's something to consider. Do we really need signs that shine all night in the dark when the business isn't open, or should these signs have a cutoff time at night when the business is closed? Those are parts of the discussion that we need to have. We're going to pause for just a moment.
Just in case we go over. Thank
How
you.
kind. So this is the application before us. Chaos Beauty wants to add a lighted structural sign to an existing pole. I was not able to find sign permits or applications for the original signs and poles. That just makes me think that they've been there for some time. And my favorite part of the code of this sign code is 12.90.050. It's signs allowed on private property with and without permits. And when you get to the bottom of all of the tables and caveats for how big your sign can be depending on how big your lot is and how big your business is, at the very bottom it says all freestanding and monument signs shall have a minimum setback of 20 feet from the front property line. The Planning Commission shall have the ability to manipulate the placement of signs based on existing signs on adjacent parcels and to allow equal visibility to all signs. So this line leads me to believe that in this section of code, you folks have the ability to make some calls. The very last line of this section says the planning commission may modify or be more restrictive on the above requirements for extraordinary circumstances in existing business areas, especially via the master sign plan. And if you read about the master sign plan, what it says is if there's more than one business on a property, those business owners need to coordinate themselves and come up with a master sign plan. We're all putting our signs together in this way. So possibly the folks that already have the sign up did so, but now we want to add a third. And so Chaos Beauty leases their space. So for them to have a master sign plan, the owner of the property needs to initiate the process and then meet with all of those property owners so they can decide what their master sign plan is. According to this, I believe you folks have the ability to modify the above requirements, so which includes the process for existing businesses, which is what this is, especially the master sign plan. So what I'm asking tonight is that you use these extraordinary powers you have been granted to approve this sign permit as the master sign plan for this parcel. And even though the sign that is requested is a little over the size for the size of the parcel and the frontage and the size of the business, it fits the sign structure that's there. It would kind of be weird to have a smaller sign on top of those bigger signs. So aesthetically, I think this is better. Structurally, the building department will determine if it's all fine, because it does require a building permit. But what I would like is planning commission's approval that this sign deviates a little bit from our sign code to allow a bigger sign on this parcel and to be part of the master sign.
Okay,
Questions, comments, or concerns?
So we're not changing all signs, just this
Nope,
particular
we're
sign.
just considering this particular application.
So are you at, so they have their package showing the rendering of the sign that they want to do.
Can
Are you-
go back to-
Are you asking to be bigger than that?
No, that's their application
Okay,
and the specs are in there.
okay.
And according to these 16 pages of code, this sign is just a little too big.
Okay.
I think it looks great aesthetically. I have had to create signs in the past and it's a lot of work.
It's a structure. It
Yeah.
needs to be balanced.
It looks
and needs
balanced.
to be sturdy, right?
Mhm.
And it's not egregious in any way.
The other
and
two don't light up below it though.
I don't believe so.
They're just painted signs.
Is there a time to have it go off? Like even if it was midnight?
So now I'm under pressure to find.
I mean, being a past business owner, I'm all for advertising, even at 1 a.m. I mean, you'd be surprised people driving and going, oh, there's a beauty shop there. I didn't know that. But I do see the benefit of it turning off, but they're the ones paying the bill. So if they want to pay the bill.
And there are MX, correct me if I'm wrong, there are MX developments in this general vicinity. I don't think they're exactly next door to this property.
Can you show us where it is?
Yeah, I'll pull it up.
Thanks.
I did the math real quick. It's 157.5 square feet. What is the maximum for that frontage?
Well, let's look at the maximum total sign area per lot by zoning district chart. Shall we?
Oh, fun.
Because this is the kind of
Why
thing
would
that
you
I have
just-
to evaluate when a sign permit comes in. And
My teacher. period.
I feel like there could be a simpler chart or graph to help guide us in what size our signs should be along the highway. But this one, in all commercial zoning districts, the maximum number of total square feet of the sign says 50. Percentage of ground floor area of the principal building, it can be 3%. Does it have to be both? The square feet of signage per linear foot or street frontage, which is 0.75 square feet. So you can have 0.75 square feet of sign per linear foot of street frontage. And it can only be 3%, and the max it can be is 50.
50 square.
Is it and or, is it all? I'm not exactly sure. I probably just need to spend more time deep diving into this
So-
code.
Is it the
Take off
one
the
to the, on the
tabs.
left
I'm
It's
sorry,
pink.
ask your question again.
or on the right?
It's the pink one on the right.
Pink
Where I
line.
had the mouse, the sign's approximately there.
Is it right on the highway?
So what is the frontage of that property?
Not very.
Out of those two calculations that were read, which one allows the greater amount and what's the greater amount allowed?
So without doing the math, I would have to say, I'm gonna go down below to other regulations. It says where allowed signage is under 200 square feet, freestanding and monument signs shall not exceed 50% of the total allowed square footage for the total lot application. And I'm not sure what that means.
Is there a lot application information?
Can we put this off to the next meeting when and do the math? So we have like, no, are we doing 3 times the size that could be per code, or is it 50% bigger?
Well, did you say somehow you did a calculation because you said it's just a little bit over?
It is, and the calculation that we looked at was the square footage of the sign and the size that's allowed in the commercial zone. Because there's stipulations up here as well that talk about animated signs can't be bigger than 100 square feet. Lighted signs, where is it? They're not limited by size, they're limited by illumination. And then the biggest one is that all freestanding and monument signs have a minimum setback of 20 feet from the front property line. And then there's also a section about maximum height for signs along Highway 91.
What is the maximum height?
The maximum height, okay. Signs along all other streets in commercial industrial zones shall not exceed 20 feet. But
Okay,
the maximum height for a monument sign shall not exceed 8 feet from the surface of the ground where the sign is planted.
I don't feel like this one's a
It's not
monument
a
sign.
monument sign.
The maximum height for freestanding signs along Highway 91 shall not exceed the height of the building they serve, which this one does not. So the height wasn't an issue. It was the square feet.
I got
Of the sign.
157.5 is what I calculated,
Um,
And what's the code supposed to be?
but
max is
It's like a
supposed to
table and it
be,
depends on the
fit.
kind of sign.
So per code, it's supposed to be 50 square feet?
yes.
We're at 157?
Wow.
That's both sides, I believe.
But that's where this catch-all clause is important because it gives the planning commission the ability, if we're looking at existing developments or existing signs, there's flexibility there for the planning commission to look at something and flex a little bit in the code to try and accommodate existing signage as much as possible.
And that's what I'm asking. Instead of going through code and breaking down every little caveat for this sign, can we look at the application and with reasonable eyes say, this sign is appropriate for this spot as part of this master sign plan and this location?
How does it fit the illumination rule?
The illumination, if you go to the application, I believe it's a very small number in the lumens.
I was right up here.
Oh, wait a minute. They say here it's not 157. What am I talking about?
That
It
feel like
seems really
100.
high.
says 96 here,
Okay,
Total sign area?
but I went by the sign height and the sign length. If you multiply those together, it's a,
Well, it looks to me it's like slightly over 100.
Oh, I thought the lumens.
That math
were-
isn't mathing in my brain, but it's not.
Well, it's 17 and a half. And then on the bottom, and it doesn't list the height, but it looks like it's,
yeah, it's
4 foot.
9 feet.
no, I mean, just at the lower, the existing sign. And then it's,
I don't see it.
and then it's 4x8 on the upper one, on the new one. So I think it's
well, do you only
25 and a
look at
half
the
by-
King's Beauty sign, or are we looking at the whole sign?
No, we're just looking at the Chaos Beauty sign.
Okay,
Which is the addition, right?
Mhm.
Okay.
which 4 feet?
Yeah,
By
the
8 feet?
addition's only 32 feet. The existing sign is probably
Oh.
32 square feet. It's a 4x8.
4
by
by
8?
8. That's what
Yeah,
I see, 4 by 8.
yeah.
But the existing one is 17 and a half by, looks like 4, doesn't show, but it shows 2 foot.
So we're under the 40 or the 50 maximum anyway.
Well,
If you're considering just the new sign, but because they're adding to it, do we have to consider?
The whole sign?
and I believe it is two-sided, so it's.
But with that
4
clause,
by 2 or times 2.
with the clause, we could
Yes.
And then we can look at the ordinance.
And then we can see if the ordinance needs or could possibly
Simplifying.
be simplified or combined. Maybe some of these things just need to be all combined in the paragraph to say it must meet the following conditions. It can't be bigger than this. It can't be taller than the building. It has to meet this setback. And,
I'm sure that the sign does not get in the way of the power lines.
Yeah, I saw that. It's getting kind of
That's
close.
the only other thing I'd be worried about,
I'm still looking for a limit.
which isn't my concern. It's really the power companies.
Unless it's in these little,
Which would have building inspector.
It's got the cabinet.
Does
doesn't
building
say.
inspector
how-
for the sign?
Illumination would be the bigger deal. In time of day that it's on.
Shows what the colors are, but it doesn't show you the actual.
I'm gonna make a motion that we accept, that we recommend, is it recommend or approve?
Approve.
it's approved.
I make a motion that we approve the application for the Chaos sign. Chaos Beauty sign.
Can I ask one more question though? Because I'm still concerned about
We
illumination.
can have more discussion after. the-
Yeah, give me a minute. If there's a second, then I can call for discussion.
Yep.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, we have Commissioner Mose made a motion and Commissioner Taylor seconded that. So discussion now. Charlene,
For the illumination part, in the application. Did you reference illumination in code?
It's probably in.
I did, and I did go through this code with the applicant, and I believe he put the lumens on
I'm on the wrong page.
this application. It may be in the building perm, is that the building permit?
I mean, I'm seeing lots of aluminum, not the.
But that can be a condition of approval as much as I don't like those, that the lumen count is met. If we want to make sure.
oh, because we're bending the rule, because we're not bending, but adjusting.
If we're adjusting it, since we have that huge power, if we flex that power, can we also put the condition of time of day that it stays on?
We can,
As long as it's within the bounds of the ordinance.
As long as it's what, sorry.
so here.
Within the bounds of the ordinance.
Here's what the ordinance says. Neither the direct nor reflected light from any light source shall create a traffic hazard or distraction to operators of motor vehicles on public thoroughfares. Such light shall not blink, flash, scintillate, flicker, vary in intensity or color, or use electrical pulsations with the exception of those approved by conditional use. Maximum illumination is 3,000 NIT in the daytime with an auto dimmer after dark and a maximum nighttime illumination of 500 NIT. So we could.
Can we just give
approve
them those stipulations?
with the stipulations that it follow lighting code for signs, yes.
Has this been reviewed by the city's engineer? Because I don't think they did their calculations right.
It has not been reviewed by the engineer or the building department yet. This is the very first hoop that they're gonna jump through is land use okay with what they're doing?
And so we look at certain things, the building department looks at different things.
Hmm.
So,
It hasn't been to a DRC meeting yet.
Because his calculations on the pole, it seems just a little odd that you'd have a sign there that now, because you put this bigger thing on top, it makes, I mean, that wind load wise, that is way worse than down lower, obviously. And so they've got enough extra in the pole that's sitting there that they can like basically double or maybe even more the loads that go into the pole. So you had a pole that was either super over designed the first time or the calculations aren't right this time.
And that's what the building department thinks, that it was built for a different purpose.
Okay,
And then they used it as a sign pole because it was so sturdy.
okay,
They do have a building application in the portal.
Okay.
It will have to be reviewed for structural integrity and all, and that it meets building code and that it's away from power lines and all of that stuff by the building department and the engineering department at
Okay.
that time.
because his calculations only show the new, not the old.
Right.
So that's wrong. You have to have both.
And I should have pulled the building permit for you guys to see.
It's
It's a
okay.
few more pages.
If it's gonna
but-
happen, then I'm not gonna.
It will. Really, all my part is to make sure that we have considered that it's part of a master sign plan and that we're okay with going a little bit outside of the size requirements because of the way that it looks aesthetically on.
so Mike, do you want to amend your motion? Did you make the motion?
I made a motion to accept the sign.
As
or to
is.
Approve, yeah.
Do you want to add anything to it based on what she said as far as like making sure the lighting, that it follow,
Illumination code.
even though we're making exceptions in some areas, we're not making an exception on the lighting part?
I don't think they're
and-
asking for an exception to that, are they? All we're doing is approving where it is, the land use part. The
We're,
lighting part is something totally different. That's a code violation that's handled by a totally different department.
So they have to comply with that no matter what.
they really do.
Okay.
What all we're asking is that the planning commission use their power to modify the requirement that a new master sign plan be devised and that this
Oh,
application
yeah.
can serve as the master sign plan and that the chaos sign itself is approved to be installed.
So your motion probably still stands. unless
Do I
you
need
want-
to add
unless you
then?
want to change it.
Amend my motion to approve the sign permit.
To say
and
that
make-
we-
And make that plan the master sign plan for that parcel.
I think that would be a good idea.
For chaos law.
Okay, because all we're doing is sign placement and sign allowability. We're not,
Correct.
nothing about lumens or anything like that.
Colors,
Right.
nothing
The,
like that.
the
Yep.
planning
But
commission,
y'all-
the planning commission's role is to look at how this complies with and blends with existing uses around it. The engineers worry about the numbers and the calculations and if it's going to stand the test of time or not.
And who does the light lumen stuff? Is that engineers too?
Building department.
Right, so you're keeping your motion or you're amending it to state about the master sign plan?
Yes, that's all I'm adding to it is that that plan then becomes the master sign plan for that parcel.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have an amended motion. Now do we have a second on the amendment, on the amended motion?
I will second that.
Okay, so Commissioner Mose made the amended motion. Commissioner Taylor has seconded the amended motion. Is there any further discussion at this point? Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Okay, that was unanimous.
We led into this is 16 pages that perhaps when this code came up, stuff was analysis paralysis.
Or maybe it was adopted from a larger municipality that has, a more extensive use of signs.
So, but zoning code for R5 is half that size. Although it does reference other codes, so this would be a good one, I think. To
Simplify.
I think it could use a little workshop, maybe in the around the MX zone, we need some other clarifications and maybe what is along the highway could be a little more than what we allow along the pathway, for example.
Well,
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. We did talk about amending this because even the signs that the schools put out on their fences require permit according to this, and they're oversized according to this. And
It's own.
I get it. We do want an area that doesn't want to be full of signs everywhere, a sign forest, so to speak. But that's the way schools communicate with parents. They're picking up their kids. Oh, I see a sign that you're going to have a bakery, a cookie sale or something.
Cookies?
No,
It's a cookie.
keep those over there. Keep those over there. Or whatever. But yes, I think looking at it with new eyes would be valuable.
Is it typical that sign permits come to the planning commission or just some, do you think?
Variance.
It's really not. Their approving body is DRC. But in this case, I could ask, my initial request was, according to code, we need a master sign plan. And the lady from Chaos Beauty Shop was like, okay, what do I need to do a master sign plan? So we talked about, well, we need the property owner to have an owner's consent form, and then all of you need to meet together and decide. And she's like, oh no. Well, maybe I don't need this sign so much after all. And I don't think it should be that difficult for commercial businesses and business owners to do a thing. And so I used this, what are we calling this? It's not a ripcord. It's a special circumstance part of this. Yeah. And oddly enough, I haven't found it in any other code but sign code, which gives planning commission the opportunity to make some calls. And so that's the only reason why it's before you today. Normally we would just approve it administratively and make sure DRC was okay with it and move forward. So my intention is to get this special permission from planning commission and then start the process at DRC, have engineering, building, everybody look at it like they're supposed to, approve it for land use, and then let them get their building permit. It's already a big process as it is. I just feel like it's a little too much. And we're asking a lot of our commercial business owners at this point, or maybe just this particular one.
Well, I do think we need to relook this. I think some of it is too stringent. Some things require just another word, maybe an and or an or between the different
Stipulations or?
yeah, the different measurements there. Is it
I agree.
50 square feet or is it 70 or 0.7 or 75% of this frontage, or is it
the most lenient?
the
Yeah.
square footage of the property? I mean,
Mhm.
so, and then I know that I know there are signs out there that shouldn't be there according to code,
according to code.
but they're not so, nobody's complaining about them.
Mhm.
So, you know, the churches right now have signs in front of them. Come worship with us on Easter Sunday. Do those require a permit?
There is
According to
yeah.
this, they probably do.
more signs in the institutional zone.
Yeah. And there's another church that has big banners that they put out.
Mhm.
Okay, well, are we gonna enforce it or not? Or are we gonna change it so that it makes more sense?
Well, and do the sign codes apply to all signs? Like if the kids put up a sign at the school, does that have to, it all has to?
There's a whole section about temporary signs.
You guys have
You can't
temporary
even put a
signs?
sign in, you
Signs.
can't even put a sign in your window unless it conforms with this.
Oh,
Yeah, this code's pretty onerous.
Yeah.
The other thing that we need to look at is the fees, because right now we only have one fee for sign permits. There's been several people who've come into the city to try to get a temporary sign permit, and they see they got to pay $250,
Yeah,
and they're like, I'm gonna go check on those signs, and then we find them around town a few days later.
yeah.
And
And heck,
they're not
even the city
offensive.
puts up
They're
signs.
not.
Are they paying the $250? For all those,
I plead the fifth.
We wait.
yeah.
But
Miss Hyde Park, do we have a sign do we have an application put in for that?
you need to ask
The-
a certain
the
member of the
beauty
city
pageant?
council about that one. But the point is, we agree with you.
Yeah.
And this whole thing needs an update. So we're gonna be working on that.
we could like,
Then code enforcement after those little kids that hold up the lemonade sign,
right.
you know, let's keep them in touch.
Just realize they're gonna put you in cuffs too because of all the
Go
signs.
there.
Health,
Don't make
health
them
and,
permit.
health and safety is the reason we
That's right.
exist, right? Not
Like it in the
to-
workshop.
not to keep our thumb on every member of the community and police each other. So health and safety is are these signs safe and are they off the sidewalk and out of the right of way? Those kind of things is what matters most. And so, yeah, this is definitely a topic I think that needs a workshop and input will be requested.
Yeah, one other comment. This is a great example of how the Utah Land Use Code is supposed to work. I mean, it's not a great example now, but it will be because really the way these are just like any other land use regulation. The planning commission and the city staff should work on these codes and workshop them and massage them and get them where we think it's going to be something positive for the community. The city council approves the code and then the city staff administers it. And in theory, we would never have to bring another sign back to the planning commission again, because you're happy with the code, we're happy with the code, and then we can just make sure everybody is following the rules that we've set forward and we're happy with. So this is going to be a great exercise for us.
Yeah, I like it. I think it's a hard one to keep current. I just think everything changes, you know? Digital signs now are not what digital signs were 20 years ago. You talked about like the flashing lights or like, that's totally what any digital sign is. The image changes all the time. And so, yeah, I think it's outdated.
I think where we have mixed use now, we're gonna have to consider location, location, location. 3 rules of real estate will have to be there, 3 rules of science. So if you've got people, like you say, people's windows, if we've got people can't open their blinds at all. Where before that wasn't even an issue because there wasn't mixed use, right? So that wouldn't have even been an issue for the prior sign code, but now we would need to address that because if you've got a sign in an area that's also residential, mixed use, that should probably have different rules from a commercial zone that has no residential next to it.
Yeah, earlier today, Mikkel said like the highway might be one set of rules and mixed use would be another set, and then residential might be another set. So you can have your lemonade sign if you want them to have their lemonade sign.
Yeah. Lemonade.
All right, I
Lemonade.
think we're done with Chaos Salon,
Thank you.
but we expect to see that as a discussion item or a workshop or something. What's that?
Appropriate name since the sign knows it
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. Okay, so then our last item is a discussion and it's home occupations. I know little bit about this. I was in today and talked to Danya. She does our business licensing. And in the past, we've had every business come and get a license. And then they changed it to only those that have an impact need a license, because the state made it so you cannot charge to businesses that don't have an impact. You can't make, you can have them have to get a license, but you can't charge them for that license. So then we're paying to track things that we don't get any reimbursement for. Anyway, so she's proposing that we don't have those, or right now we don't have them. Right now, she's not having them pay. I mean, she's not having them get a license. She can't have them pay, but she's not having them get a license right now if they don't have an impact. She's fine to go either way that we think it needs to be. If you want everybody to get a license or just those that have an impact get a license. But the whole ordinance in general, she would love feedback on. Sorry, I should have asked for your report first.
Well, I technically should have Danya give the report, but, she's not here and public hearings are heard at planning commission. And so that's why I wanted just for you guys to look through this ordinance first before we bring it, for a public hearing. I don't know the exact changes that were made. This isn't the red line version, right? Is this the current or the final? To be replaced?
This is
Want to be
current.
What do you mean by impact?
So when we're talking about impact, we're talking about, is traffic coming, right? Are customers coming to the site? Are they having to add additional infrastructure? Do they have to provide buffer screening, parking? Is there going to be extra trash pickup? Any
Extra
kind of
deliveries.
things that would normally maybe require an impact fee or improvements of some kind. When it's a true home occupation, I think we defined it as one customer at a time, like maybe getting your nails done or your hair done or your taxes done. Or contractor style, where you are at home running your business on your laptop and you leave your home to go and do the thing in person somewhere else.
Like a realtor might do.
Right.
Right.
And we don't think we should enforce that business license to those people?
That's the question. Should we be tracking everybody who's running a business so that we're aware of where businesses are happening? And where maybe zones where there's a lot of home occupation, maybe that's where the commercial where we start to allow that. It would give information, right? It would give us, statistics for what's going on in our city. How many businesses do we have in our city that are home occupations? There's no way to know that unless you're tracking that. So I think the question is, do we need to? Is it something that we want to spend time on, or is that something that we're not too concerned about, and people that that maybe DRC determines there's no impact, they don't have to get a license? Or do we still want them to have some kind of acknowledgement? Some of them need a license, right? In order to get your discount at your supplier, you have to show you have a business license, or to have additional insurance on your home for what you're doing there, you have to show you have a business license. And the ones that want one can come and get one that way, or we're kind of open to suggestion on all of that.
Well, what is the financial impact of not getting a license? Are there any taxes that come directly to the city?
Not necessarily, because the
Business.
majority of your home-based businesses aren't really selling products.
Okay,
services.
Let me correct that. The
Yeah.
majority that are doing it and don't need a license by the state code definition are providing a service they're not selling. If they're selling a product from the home, then yes, they have to get a business license anyway. And so the city's not necessarily losing out on any tax revenue or something
okay.
when these service-based businesses don't get a business license. And the other implication here is, I mean, me, I like data. I want to know what people are up to because that's what we put in our general plan and our long-term plans and our road plans. We want to know if we've got people coming and going to businesses. But we cannot charge a fee. And so then it becomes something that the taxpayers in general have to fund. The application process, the tracking it, the software that we're going to use. And so that's why this is a question.
And it looks like it's a criminal penalty at the end,
Mm-hmm.
4.40.05.
There's a word that Danya felt was missing there, or actually Linda is the one who pointed that out. It should say any person operating a business with impact in a
Okay.
residential
Mm.
zone without a license is in trouble. So,
Because I read that, I'm like, that's a little steep.
yeah, that may be something we need to add there, but, as you know, businesses grow and change. And if we're not keeping track of where our businesses are and they do grow and change,
Could
maybe
become a
the
problem.
impact will grow and change. And if we don't even know they're there, there's no way to require them to come into compliance with a business license that they don't have to have. Yes, as well.
I think we need to track it. And I can personally testify of this. I have a salon in my home and I pay for a business license. I don't work full time. It's one person. It's not impacted. I thought I had to have a business license for Hyde Park. So I have paid it for 12 years. But I also have been in this industry 30 years to where I have seen homes where they say they're not impacted, but it grows. And I have neighbors that do daycare and preschool, and I want to be notified of that because that's a problem when drop off happens and pickup happens, even dog grooming and dog boarding and dog breeding. I think that should be tracked. I think neighbors should be notified because I know I've gotten emails from the city. Like, I don't know what validates that, but when there's a preschool going in, sometimes you get a letter from the city.
A lot of times, a preschool needs a conditional use permit.
But they're notifying, like,
so
it's
they're-
like saying, do you have any issues with this? Like, I've gotten letters saying,
Sure.
do you have an issue with
Because
this?
you were within 300 feet
Probably.
of where they were wanting.
And
to
I
do
think
studies.
for Hyde Park and where you buy a home, I think it's good to be aware and to track. That's me personally. I think we should keep dibs on it.
Commissioner Hanson?
I mean, I do think you need the data, and I guess I'm thinking of something that maybe can satisfy both of these, that you could have a self-certification kind of a thing where you have a letter that, or a checklist that you make them go down and check all off and then sign that their business is that way. So, but that you don't necessarily have to put it in a computer. You could just have it in a file. Every year they have to do this. And if otherwise they have to get a building business permit. So that would remind them, hey, oh, now I'm getting traffic more than such and such. I should be getting a permit. And that in their mind is the business grows. So
One of the other things to consider is when you get a business license, it comes with a building department inspection and a fire inspection. And so whether you have impact or not, if you're doing a thing, whatever that thing might be, health and safety, right? Is fire department okay with this business that you're running in there? And is it meet building code still for what's happening? I don't know that there would be enough businesses that it would put a real big burden on the city or the applicants to pay for those inspections and get a license, even if they didn't have impact. I think it would be good for tracking purposes. And I think it would be a nod toward health and safety that anybody who's running a business in their home got their inspection and everything's on the up and up.
Every year?
Well,
Or
right
just
now,
when they first apply?
when you get a business license in Hyde Park, it's automatically renewed every year. And
Mhm.
what I've what I've been pestering Marcus about is that we have many businesses that have expanded, that have grown, that have changed their use, or that have made some kind of pivot that really doesn't align with either with city code, or that they should have had to put in improvements with what they're doing. And by just auto renewing commercial business license, I have no beef with the I think one and done maybe for home occupations. But for commercial business licenses, that's not what we're considering tonight. We need a renewal process for sure.
I mean,
But
it seems like
think-
there's a letter. I mean, I've worked out of my home for 20 years, so I mean, something with the fire department that I had to check every year. I can't remember if it came with the county business or county thing, or
Maybe
whether,
so.
or
A
whether
lot
it
of-
came with the business license from the city that I had to fill out and send back in.
You know, nothing's changed. I haven't increased.
No, it was a
my use and
checklist. I had to
oh,
go
was
down the
it?
checklist. There was about 100 things on it. Do I have a fire extinguisher?
I think it's on the business license renewal.
Yeah, and it could be a similar thing that applies to this, that you had to mail in.
Mhm.
And I doubt anybody put it in a computer. They probably just put it in a file. And I never had a fire department ever come to my house or building inspector.
Same with me.
But I do think that it would be an easy way for you to track, to do something similar to the checklist that goes out from the fire department.
Okay.
But if it's a piece of paper going in a file, we're not actually tracking it.
No, we will track it because we have that software capability now.
Yeah,
but I
and
mean, you-
so
When
I don't want
it's all
to,
in-
I don't want to see the mail going back and forth either, because
No,
you're spending
it
a
won't.
dollar every time you mail something
They'll
back.
do it all online, and the renewal thing will be emailed to them online, and they'll return it
Yeah.
in the portal, and it'll be.
I've never got
tracked
an
that
email.
way.
It's always been a letter. So is it going to change? to
It,
an
it
email?
is going to change.
Okay.
But okay, let's take Heather's business. That's still a business with an impact, isn't it? Even if she just has one person coming at a time.
I don't think it is, because how do you know if you have one visitor?
So
I don't have that in front of me. Can you go up to that part where it defines business with impact and business without an impact?
She said earlier that if it was just one, that wasn't.
Well, let's make sure that we're quoting code and not.
Home occupation with impact, a business that takes place within a residential zone conducted by a resident residing in a home that creates a material impact to the residential neighborhood by having patrons visit the premises. Home occupation without impact, a business that takes place within a residential zone conducted by a resident residing in a home that creates no impact to the residential neighborhood since no patrons visit the premises. So-
This is the proposed one, right?
Yeah, and I believe those definitions are pulled from that new state code.
But not the other one. Not the old one.
Yeah, and so Heather, I guess for your business where you have one client a day, maybe you would have impact would be like minimal impact.
So it's not material, that, do we know what material? is?
Yeah, material
What's-
impact
what's
is-
defined as?
Anyone visiting is material
Mm-hmm.
apparently, yeah,
impact.
by having persons visit the premises.
I have no problem. I mean, our business license is $40, I think. Like, it's not
Yeah, it's,
not a big deal for me personally. Now if that raised super duper high, then yeah, I don't do a lot of hair, so.
And we do want to encourage people to participate.
Yeah.
Right? We want to encourage people
Yeah.
to get their business license, and
Yeah,
a very
I
high
like
fee,
having a business license.
a very high fee discourages. people.
Yes,
Right.
because how would you know? I mean, how many people right now are conducting businesses? Especially if it's one person, you don't know. My mom could show up and I could do her hair, and is that a business? I mean, how do you define that?
Paid for it?
Well, and
Yeah.
the good news is,
My mom.
the good news is, these are fees, right? And fees are different than taxes. A tax, the city can levy for general purpose, like, our general fund taxes, others. But fees have to be specifically tied back to the service that we're providing.
I learned this because my sister-in-law is in North Logan. She does charge tax. So the city collects tax. And I actually called the tax commissioner because I didn't know you paid tax on service because hair does not have a tax.
Mhm.
So I was worried. But sewing requires a tax.
Well, it's because she turns around and sells that piece that she's made back to whoever the
Yeah, but
client.
sometimes like I've hired her and bought the material. You are paying tax on her service.
Then
Mm.
dance teachers would have to charge tax.
It depends. It's a material good. I called.
She uses thread.
Yeah, she's using material, like hair is not,
Different kind of
But
material.
here you gotta use the product, the color, the.
I know, but I pay tax on that too. I have a tax ID. It's very different. I did research. I called the tax commissioner. Sewing is taxed and it goes back to the city.
Mhm. But anyway, the fees, they're only going to rise proportional to the cost that it costs the city to administer the program, right? And so we like to keep these fees as static as possible, try not to go crazy with buying some kind of really fancy software or like, some new vehicle that we're going to go around and police all the business licenses with, so everybody's fees going to go up. No, that's not the goal here. The goal is just to say, how much money do we need to collect per business license to reasonably offset the cost that it takes for us to track these things, create a spreadsheet, report back to the state if there's any reporting we have to do, et cetera, et cetera.
But we also cannot charge the ones who have to have a license. We can't charge them more to cover our inspections and fire department going to those that we just decide to license.
So the fee has to be based on the individual. The math has to be done based on how it impacts that person or that case. We can't say, well, we don't want to charge the elderly populations. We don't want them to pay anything, so we're going to charge extra to the young kids who come in for business license. You can't do that. It has to be
Yes.
uniform.
So, I
So
mean,
that's-
if we are saying we're tracking everybody, where are you saying that money should come from then? Because I mean, I like numbers too. I like tracking all sorts of things, but
Well, and I'll put a pause on that because that's more of the job of the city council,
Okay.
right?
they're over budget.
They're over the budget. And so
Okay.
that's the discussion that I'm going to have with them is this something you want the general taxpayer dollars to be subsidizing? Because that's what it's going to end up being.
Right.
It's this question for the planning commission is more to consider, as you're looking at the neighborhoods and the composition of the city, do we want to have a tighter grip is the wrong word, because again, we can't really regulate these things, but do we want to have a better snapshot of the business happening in the city? That's essentially what this would provide.
I think data is the new gold. No one will argue that, but I think a desire for data is not a legitimate government purpose. I think if it doesn't have an impact on the health and the safety and the traffic and other things in the community, then I think it's not our business. I'm probably the only one that thinks that, but that's my opinion.
Well, I guess when I was in the office, it just seemed like when we charged people for that inspection, it was over $100 to have
I think.
the building department go out and the fire
I
department
think
go
the
out.
Fire department is 50 and the.
Building's
building
50.
Department.
The
Is that for
50
commercial? Or is
Yeah.
that for, residential doesn't have that.
That's
The
their
home
general
computer, doesn't it?
inspection rates for the fire department and the building department. If it's like a specific type of inspection you need for a permit or something, they'll have a rate based on that, how thorough that inspection needs to be. But if they're showing up to like a short-term rental, we do a licensing program for Airbnbs. That's just the $50 for them to show up and do a general inspection.
So one with no impact, they wouldn't have to get. a
Are these the
license, so
new
they wouldn't have to
definitions?
Pay the fee.
Yeah, this is the new code being proposed. So those are new definitions.
I think having one visitor is not an impact.
I agree.
I think that we kind of need to be a little bit more specific.
That may be coming from the state.
Okay.
Is that
I'm-
coming from the
That's-
state?
Pretty sure these are directly from the new state code.
And do
We'll
we
double
have to
check with
take
Dawn,
that?
yeah.
Can we not adjust that?
That's a question probably for the city attorney.
Okay. Cause I just think one person, that is not impacting. But if it was 2 or more, 3 or more, but then I just
One,
think you're
like
looking
one
at
person a day or one person
at a
time.
time. Like if you have one
Gotcha.
car parked in your driveway. I
But
don't
if
know.
you have 30 people coming every day,
That's, well, I
And it's
don't
an
do,
endless-
me personally, I don't
Yeah.
do 30 people.
right?
So it could be at a time, not to exceed X number.
I
per
would
day
say not to exceed.
type thing.
I think at a time. I
I
mean,
have a feeling this was litigated and that's usually why state code ends up the way it
It
does. But
Well,
we can definitely find out.
We'll check these definitions and we'll also check to see if there's a further explanation of material impact. Like if patrons visiting the premises means type of vehicle or number of vehicles or something.
Cause I think of like a Pampered Chef party or, I mean, is that a business?
It is for the person selling the Pampered Chef, but,
But they go
but they
to,
usually don't have it at
at their own
home.
home.
I know.
Usually go to someone else's.
They get you to have the party.
Yeah, so then you have 30 cars outside
that-
your house.
that's-
That's more impactful
So
than
that's like-
one
Right, but
client.
that's no different than a bridal shower.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
the one time, that's not an ongoing.
Yeah.
Every
Yeah.
day.
Unless you're a big sucker.
There's another
The
thing.
steakhouse over and over.
I mean, there are some salons, I'll use salon as a thing where they have a sign out, it's open, it's like a Great Clips, it's open for business. I think that is an impact. But if it's like appointment only, one person, I think that's no impact. If you're an accountant, one person, but if it's like 10 clients coming and you have, that's an impact. That's
Yeah,
how
you
I
should
would
have
view
someone
it.
that tutors and has one person
Yeah.
at a time here and there.
Same thing,
Piano lessons.
Yeah.
yeah.
Fortunately, yeah, I think that's directly from the legislative.
I think it's all
decisions that's-
been done at the
that's
state
what's made
level.
about this,
Well,
so.
And
Can-
so what our question we should ask is, can we be more restrictive and can we be less restrictive?
Yeah,
Because
which one
often-
applies in this?
Which one applies in this particular law, this code?
I would
Um,
doubt that we can be
can-
more restrictive.
Can
My guess would be
you,
we can be less restrictive.
can you
but-
slide down? There's something, I think it's like number 7 on the next page, conditions. No, it is number,
Section.
Or you like the trailers? What do you like?
no, it was, can't have more than so many visits by deliveries by a commercial
Oh,
vehicle.
yeah, it was like 5 a week or
5 a
something.
week. I'm thinking,
It's number
What?
5.
So I need to get a business license for my Amazon orders. and
Right,
Amazon.
yeah, I'm
I
thinking
mean,
everyone's
seriously, if you
getting-
Think about it.
that, I'm not sure how that,
I guess the difference is it's commercial delivery. We do have a couple homes in Hyde Park that get like the Amazon truck showing up, but they're unloading the entire truck. It's not just a couple packages. The guy gets back in his truck and he leaves. It's like
There
they're
are some big
unloading.
businesses.
And there's a couple that have semi trucks showing up, and those are against the code, and we're doing something about those ones. But that's, I think, what a commercial delivery, the difference between a household delivery and a commercial delivery. You're talking about the entire truck versus 1 or 2 packages from the truck.
Versus
you
Amazon.
never seen my wife on Amazon.
I was gonna say.
That is not the city's problem.
Plus, all those sales from Amazon bring in sales tax.
Right.
get
If you can't shop local, shop online, right?
That's right.
Does the city get sales? tax?
Yes,
I did
Yeah.
not know that.
yes.
The sales tax for online sales are generated based on where
Your
you,
location.
your point of sale.
Yep.
Good to know.
That's, I changed.
Shop away.
I give a lot of money to the city. My hair business is nothing compared to Amazon.
So until we get some real commercial business going on here, feel guilt-free shopping on Amazon.
So
Please take that out of the minute.
you can even,
Strike that.
you can even go on samsclub.com and,
That's not-
or Costco.com and have them shipped to your house.
So I think we kind of got off
Get
of
that,
term. What are we trying to pass? Like, do we
not-
want to keep businesses?
This is
but
the
like-
discussion item. This is a proposed ordinance
Okay.
that Danya has put out there. She's over the business licensing.
Okay.
So look it over. What do you like? What do you not like?
If you have specific recommendations or questions or comments, please email them to myself, Mikhail. We can run those through the city attorney or through Danya. She knows a lot more about this than we do.
I would ask about the one car. I would just be a little bit more specific. That's going to clear up a lot of piano lessons,
Mhm.
private swim lessons, accounting. I mean, appointment only clients.
This talked about swim lessons.
It did. I
It
said.
had a
that.
few specifics in here, like
I
there's
think
specifics on
that-
preschools and daycares, and oh yeah, there's swim lessons at the top.
I've seen some swim lesson places like in North Logan that have lines of cars, but it's because they're doing groups. Versus, I would imagine if you have teaching one family, that's totally different than when you say this hour, and you see 10 cars lined along 1600 going on up in their swimsuits.
Oh, my neighbor did swim lessons and it was a lot of people. It was groups.
So it's more than one client.
Oh, yeah. 15 kids.
I did that when I was a kid. went to the neighbor's house with like 10 other kids and did swim lessons in the pool.
They don't do it anymore, but they did.
All right, anything else on home occupations from commissioners?
I think the number of people, but I also think frequency makes a difference too. Should be a factor.
Okay, because the next time we see this, it'll be a public hearing.
Correct. So if you have questions or suggestions, definitely shoot us an email so that we can get all that information resolved. Before
Are fees gonna change? Possibly?
Fees are, I don't believe fees are part of the proposal.
Okay.
We're not proposing to change the fees at this time.
But they'd have to, if 300 new places applied, right? Then it would have to be proportionate to the amount of labor and
Yeah,
time for the.
and
city.
in theory, the $40, even if we had 20 new businesses show up
Should
and they,
say.
if they all pay their $40, we should be fine.
Should be. When's the hearing on this one?
I
Probably-
think the earliest, no, I believe the posting is the 15th of next month, April 15th.
So your next meeting.
Yeah. Which brings us to the last item. Our next meeting is April 15th. Too many of us are gone over April 1st. So no meeting on April 1st. Next meeting is April 15th. And looking ahead, too many are gone that first week of May. I think
May.
all of you except me are gone that first week of May. So we won't have a meeting until the middle of May as well. Only one meeting in May.
Got it.
Well, is there 5 Wednesdays in April? Cause we couldn't, can you not?
No, it's a first and third that we
We always just do
pu-
first and third.
Well, yeah, and so it's
Okay.
posted at the beginning of the year.
Did the meeting schedule at the beginning?
Okay.
Now, there can be additional meetings called if necessary, but that might be better used for like a work session. We talked about workshopping the sign ordinance. Maybe that's the day that we do that.
But next week we have a workshop at 6 with city council.
Mhm.
You guys are aware of that, like every fourth Wednesday from 6 to 7 before city council's meeting at 7. They have set that up too. Every fourth Wednesday would be a workshop with the planning commission and the city council.
Yep. I steal a little bit of time to do training on state code basics, and then we take the rest of the time to talk about general plan sections. And we're talking land use next week again.
Yeah, and the training parts are always really good. Okay. Without any, can't even think of the word. We're
Any
going-
other business?
Yeah, any other business? No objections? We will adjourn.
Look at, he's reaching for it already.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
I second.